Alright, I heard all your concerns. Our food supplies are low, so I've decided we're ordering out.
6 hours later.
Your mother was a hamster, and your father smelt of elderberries.
So as the old adage goes, an army marches on their stomach, and the colony is certainly no exception to this rule. For this section, we will be talking about food, be it food you grow, you plant, or perhaps obtain in other ways. So all the stuff you can use to improve your pawn's quality of life, at least in the kitchen. Outside of that, up for debate. Starting off is plants expanded, a huge variety of new crops to plant and utilize. We have onions, which take a bit longer for pawns to harvest, but in exchange we are immune to all blights. Pumpkins are a high health gourd that can't have any botched harvest. After all, it's a simple thing to harvest a pumpkin, though keep in mind, due to the weight, can't hydroponic them. Peppers are a good veggie for outdoor gardens, since animals refuse to eat them. Peas gain a huge growth boost when in raining, however, without rain they are pretty inefficient. Eggplants can get a growth boost in temperatures of 36 Celsius or 96.7 Fahrenheit respectively. Also, they need soil fertility of at least 71%. Cabbages can endure toxic fallout by stopping their growth, unlike other plants that just straight up die. Beets actually require a growing skill of 8, but don't die from the cold. In fact, growing in a slow 10% speed, so any cold snaps you may get in autumn won't destroy all crops instantly. Very nice. Finally, tomato plants that require rich soil to grow and can be hydroponically grown is a 5 growing skill plant that is high quality. Why? Well, they don't get destroyed when harvested, so you can keep repeating their harvest during the time you have them. A good side grade to corn, if you ask me. Well, when I say finally, I just mean with the veggies. See, you also get some fruit. Though, to be fair, tomatoes are a fruit, which means pizza has fruit in it, of course, and therefore is healthy. Yes, the logic is sound. Moving on. This mod includes fruit trees for a long investment plant. They take a long time to plant and grow, and all the fruit from the trees have the very same nutritional value. However, that makes them different is the biomes you can randomly find them growing in. Not to mention, some trees have quirks. First up, the apple tree, a classic fruit tree found in temperate forests, no gimmicks, just a standard red apple tree. Peaches are found in arid shrublands, deserts, and have the added bonus of being plantable on stony soil. Useful if you want to utilize some of that space. Cherry trees are found in boreal forests and tundras, and during winter have a lonely bloom that pawns and myself absolutely love. Plums are in temperate swamps and cold bogs, and their gimmick is great for tribals since rotten plums turn into prunes that can be eaten like pemmican. Like plums before, pears make their home in swamps and bogs, being trees that don't block wind and can also be planted under roofs unlike other trees. Bananas are found in tropical swamps and rainforest and work as quick harvesting crop. After all, it's pretty easy to cut down and harvest a banana bunch. Orange trees make their home in tropical swamps and rainforests but get the bonus of growing faster next to rivers, meaning more OJ for your morning breakfast. Yeah, all the fruit trees are pretty cool, but there is a bit more fruit to enjoy. Also, while the trees can be found in their own locations, you aren't locked to your own biome tree. If you want to be in the tundra and grow bananas, go for it. So, to the other fruit you can find in the deserts and arid shrubland, a puntilla, which most people know as the prickly pear cactus. Yep, you can get growable cactus fruit, acting sorta like a fruit tree, and the time it takes to grow, but unlike fruit trees, have no space requirements. Bearberries are a tasty treat that can be found in tundra and temperate forests and act as another edible wild berry. Though, unlike normal berries, can be planted in plant pots. Though, unlike normal flowers, they do need proper 51% light, like from a sunlamp. Finally, you can grow proper grass and tall grass if you want a place for your animals to roam and graze in. And also tilled soil, a bit of a construction job where pawns will till soil and prepare it for planting, acting as 140% fertile soil. So for that one crop, once you harvest a plant from fertile soil, you have to till it again. So keep this in mind if you want to prepare for your bumper crop. Succulents don't include edible plants, but we should mention them anyway. What this mod adds is a new variety of pot plants. They have half the beauty of normal flowers, but last twice as long. Yeah. Simple, and they all look good. But that's not why you're here. You want to know about more fun stuff to grow and eat. Don't worry, we got you covered. We got more plants. Yeah, that's the name of the mod, VE More Plants, which adds even more plants with even more gimmicks. First, chickpeas, which take 5 days to grow, have a yield of 40 a unit and 1/4 the nutrition. If you have mods that increase stack sizes, could be good. Otherwise, might overfill your stocks a bit too quickly. Radishes require 6 growing skill, but in return you have the fastest growing plant at 1.5 days, though with double the sowing time. And as many radishes harvested, plus gonna take a lot of growers' time over and over if you have to keep replanting them. If you are starting out, it might not be a bad choice for early fast food. Bell peppers are unique in how they may mature into either red or yellow peppers, the yellow ones appearing 25% of the time and having more nutrition. It rewards bigger fields since you have more of a chance for more useful veggies. Garlic is great in how they have a 50% fertility sensitivity, not to mention take 140 days to rot. Obviously useful for low-tech playthroughs, just beware of bad breath, not bad bread. Green beans and carrots are a companion crop growing at a 30% growth rate if the companion crop is also growing in the colony. Nice to see even the plants working together. Okra can regenerate damage as it takes, not to mention spend a little more time out of the sun without dying. Lettuce grows in the shade, though by that they mean be outside but under a roof to growth. Don't know how it works, but hey, nice to know some plants aren't picky. Sweet potatoes are similar to normal potatoes in how they prefer weaker soil, growing at 100% in gravel, poor growth in normal soil, and they can't even touch fertile soil. Also, they need 10°C to grow it, or 50 degrees Fahrenheit to grow. Brussels sprouts are the bane of every child's plate, and these ones grow faster if it's snowing and is in the grow season. Something I feel won't happen very often, but hey, everyone needs a gimmick, I suppose. Canola is an unedible plant, so why grow it? Well, it makes for great chem fuel material at an extremely efficient 1-to-1. Great, wonderful. Celery takes 30 days to grow, but you get a huge yield out of them, actually like an alternative corn in some aspect. Pineapples also take a bit of time to grow, but they, accordingly to the mod page, take up less storage space. Hey, that's useful, plus fruity for our juices and drinks. Buckwheat is a non-flammable plant, perfect if you decide to roleplay a colony of arsonists, lest the grub won't be set on fire. Peanuts are a great legume that, when planted, have a 75% chance to be automatically sown on adjacent tiles, reducing the planting time. Same with a 50% fertility sensitivity. This is a great nut to grow. Sunflowers grow better on the planet equators, and they have a 130 fertility sensitivity, giving you a lovely looking crop. Cassava is a plant that grows better in foggy weather by 30%, making it good if you got a weather machine going on. Then, if you have certain mods or DLC, there are more plants to play around with. Vikings with this great blueberries, a nice fast growing berries that actually get a better yield if the apiary from the mod is found nearby. If you have the ideology DLC, you can get cave moss, an alternative to hay that require complete darkness to grow. Don't need to explain why that's useful for tunnelers. Same with tinnic shrooms, acting as an alternative version of the Tinictoria plant for dyes. Again, complete darkness needed. Finally, heal shrooms. Once again, alternative heal root that need complete darkness to grow in. But wait, there's a lot more left. We still have some of the trees to plant and enjoy. Almond trees have a double beauty, but also require water and within a 6-tile radius. The good news is almonds can be eaten raw and can also be converted into milk. Mangoes give out a good yield, but there is a huge catch. Mangoes can't be frozen, so if you plan to use them, you better use them or sell them, or heck, huck them into another base fire drop pods. Olives grow at a 100% speed in gravel, poor in normal and fertile soil. Yeah, not even gonna try. They also can't be eaten raw, but hey, they make for good material in a lot of meals if you ask me. Finally, last amongst the trees is the avocado. With a long 90-day grow time, they give an astonishing 160 yield. If you plan early, you will be rolling in avocados for decades, no joke. But again, this isn't the only bit of food. If you have VE cooking, which we will talk about very soon, you can get crops that give you cooking flour. Sorghum is a unique in how it acts as a 45% cover with an 80% path cost, making it somewhat viable as a growable cover. Barley is a dual crop that grows both hay and flour, with 15 hay and 20 flour. Pretty decent if you have some limited space in your farmlands. Same with oats, that give 15 oats and 15 flour at harvest. Oats being a unique vegetable that can also be turned into milk. One of the new features of this mod is the sandy growing zone. One of the biggest frustrations in the desert playthroughs is the lack of growing area, or at least decent enough growing area. Now, this mod includes plants that focus solely on sand as their grow zone. Do keep in mind, however, that plants here ignore fertility basically, but take a while to grow and harvest, exchanging colony work time for space that normally isn't used. Melon are a crop that block adjacent grow zones, but give a decent yield and, like pumpkins, can't be failed when harvesting. Cucumbers grow fast at 3 days with a yield of 5.
Rye crops only appear if you have VE cooking and act as a way to get flour in the desert.
Aloe vera takes a lot of time to plant, but if you are in the desert and need a source of heal root, this is a way to do it. Butternut squash takes a bit of time to cultivate, but in return gives a nice yield. Finally, for the sandy crops is the coconut tree, a tree that plants only on the sands and gain a growth bonus for every seed tile within a 6-tile radius. Obviously, great source of fruit, and like previous plants, can be turned into milk. Though there is also more to plant on the aquatic growing zone is like the sandy zone, trading a colonist time to use the space for planting. You got taro crops, which is the basic run-of-the-mill water crop. The water chestnuts that grow faster if the temperature is between 37°C and 60°C or 98 degrees to 140 degrees. Wait, is this right? Can someone check on that? It might have been a typo. I'm not exactly sure, but we're gonna move on. Watercress has a low yield and cultivation time, and not to mention blocks adjacent growing zones. And finally, lotus crops have a long cultivation time and yield, rounding out all our aquatic crops. And to finally round out this mod is the vegetable milk production table that lets you turn all sorts of crops into milk. However, there is a big caveat. It's extremely inefficient, only really useful for specific recipes that call for specifically base milk. Don't think of this as a way to make more milk for less. It's not worth the effort. But hey, I like that it's here. It gives us options, and I like options. So all that is all well and good when it comes to greens, but in our colonies, we love meat. Thanks fishing for a source of meat that doesn't involve guns. Well, at least in this part of the rim. Fishing is a new job type linked to animal handling skill. The better the skill, the faster and more fish a pawn can catch. This also trains it, so it's a good way to train our future handlers if you are thinking about that sort of thing. All you need is 25 tiles worth of walkable water, or more or less if you edit in the options and a pawn to go over. They will fish and reel up either some small, medium, or large fish of different varieties. I'm not going to go over what you can get, you just know there is a ton of different fish of different values and nutrients and even varieties only found in certain temperatures. So get out there collecting. Though as a rule, smaller fish can be easily caught but worth less, larger is worth more but take longer to catch. Also, you can eat fish raw, but pawns don't like that, at least not without rice. However, don't think there isn't a bit more to fishing. Sometimes you might catch more than just a fish. You might catch a boot, or a tire, or a book, or cliches. Or maybe a bottle of beer, never know. But with the Fishing Treasure add-on mod, you can find a large variety of treasures based on different mods you have in your order. Naturally, plenty of VE support, but you get support from other mods like Alpha Biomes and Animals, Jewelry, Rim of Madness, and so on. Never know what you can find what that ended up in the water. We now have all the ingredients. It's time to prepare them all with Cooking Expanded, a huge supply of different foods and how to cook them. Now, the main thing to know is that you have basic meals, fine meals, and lavish meals. Pretty basic stuff for Rimworld, but now we have gourmet meals, higher than lavish meals that take far longer to make and require the newly added condiment. Condiments add a new temporary effect to any pawn who eats them, so a good way to help him is to make them happy. Oh yes. Before we explain condiments, there is one other effect that can trigger eating the new food. Health risks. Yes, like in real life, eating some food isn't good for the body. My writer tells me that the call of burgers has given him a few pounds too many, and your colonist may suffer the effects of the tastier food as well. At least that's what I would say, but during our research to make this video, we found out that the cholesterol, diabetes, and so on were removed in 1.4. So yeah, go nuts on fried food. Noobert thinks this is kind of unfortunate because it's an added challenge, but whatever. So, other ingredients included with this mod is the new wheat plant that grows into easily grindable grains that turn into flour. This, along with other variants of the plants, gives you a new nice ingredient to make the new baked food items. There is a sugar cane that grows into what is sugar, used as a condiment and for sweet treats, and allspice that acts as a generic spice condiment that pawns enjoy. So most condiments are made the new condiment prep table, and they each have their own temporary 12-hour buff for pawns when eaten. Agave nectar, made from agave fruit, gives a +1 mood boost on top of a 15% immunity gain speed. Salt is mined via the deep drill and gives a +3 mood boost for pawns that eat it. Mayo, made from eggs, adds a +1 mood boost and reduced hunger rates by 15% during the buff. Insect preserves, made by insect jelly, gives a great +6 mood buff. Very good at keeping a colony's mood up. Might be worth risking life and limb to make insectoids mad. Smoke leaf butter, being the combo of milk and smoke leaf, gives pawns the same effect as the joint, but without the addiction. I guess. Sugar ups a pawn's move speed 15% and gives a +2 mood from the sugar high. The generic spices from the allspice plant give a +1 mood buff and a 10% manipulation bonus. Chocolate syrup is made from chocolate, adding a +4 mood boost. Oh, many mood boosts. Then there is the Resurrector nanites, which gives a +1 mood bonus on top of resurrecting them during the 12-hour buff. Decent before a fight. You might lose a pawn. These can only be found via quest reward or traders. Then if you have VE plants, you can make hot sauce from the pepper plant and give a pawn a 15% pain resistant boost, though no joy. And ketchup from tomatoes, which is a +2 mood boost. Simple enough. Noobert thinks it's a +4, but yeah, this mood boosts are already nice to keep a pawn from snapping, but on top of actual mechanical benefits, it goes to show that a good meal can go a long way to help us. That's why today's video is sponsored by Blue. No, I'm just kidding. But could you imagine? Alright, let's keep going. So, things you can make. Well, on top of the regular meals, if you use the flour, you can make bakes. Bakes are meals that are always made in 2 batches, but they are less filling than a normal meal of the same type. Though given 1 flour can make 2 simple bakes, it might be a good way to keep extra food around for the midnight munchies. Desserts are the next thing you can make, though they aren't exactly meals. Depends on who you are. They are more like social drugs, eaten usually while socializing or when needing a pick-me-up. Careful though, since they can be addictive, again, can be found in levels basic to gourmet. Also, they are made using fruit as the base, so berries can be your best friend for mood buffs with them. Soups are very useful at being a way to build up a good supply behind the scene. First, a pawn makes the uncooked soup, which does require a lot of material. Then you put it on the stove, wait 2 days, and you got 10 new soups for people to enjoy. Obviously great, since 10 food in 2 days is easily done, leaving most cooks free to do other work as the soup simmer and cook. Though, remember that if the soup stops cooking, if it does, be it a power loss or any other way, they will be ruined and you lose the new food. Keep that in mind, it's important. Then there are the grills, tasty meals that pawns absolutely love fresh. So much so, if they eat it while it's warm, they get the well-fed buff, reducing hunger rates by 35% for 12 hours. Do keep in mind, this only works if the grill is fresh. If you freeze it, it loses the buff. Still might be worth constantly growing for that buff. So, other ways to deal with food. There is the new canning machine that lets you can everything from meat, veggies, fruit, fish, and eggs, letting you reduce space by putting it all in canned goods. Pawns can also eat them raw like berries, though not recommended. This is more of a way to compress resources rather than be a replacement. Plus, unless you are using the VE Mechanoid's canning factory, your pawns will have to make use of steel to make canned goods. foods. As for fried food, obviously it makes the food incredibly tasty while reducing the shelf life of said food. And raw food made fried can be eaten how it is and make pawns happy, and thankfully in 1.4 not give them life-threatening cholesterol. Again, Noobert wants this back. Finally, cheese making, a simple thing to do. Just put in 50 of one type of milk into the presser and wait. The longer the wait, the better the quality of cheese that comes out. Oh yeah, improving their value, and well, I don't know, something to brag about. It's not exactly the most efficient to use them in meals or to eat it raw, but I know Brent enjoys playthroughs where he is the Dairy King, and he tries to make as many cheeses as he can. And Noobert would eat all the cheeses, yes. And yes, this aspect has a lot of mod compatibility. Feel free to look around. You might find so many different types of cheeses to make. I know that the milk animals in VE Genetics do make milk that can be turned into cheese if you want an idea. But the cookie doesn't end with all that. Throw in a small stews add-on to make wood-fired stews. Why would you make this over soups? Well, first off, it's pretty low-tech, so good for medieval playthroughs, more so nice you can't make gourmet soups. However, the big use with this mod is that when you make a stew, any ingredient problems like, say, human flesh or insect meat, they won't come to play when eaten. No. Guess the stewing fixed up any issues with the meats, or at least covered up any mistakes you made. Finally, with the cooking, there is the sushi add-on to go with all that fishing you do. Oh yeah. You make sushi on the new sushi table, which requires no power, by the way. And of course, you need fish and rice for these. I really want to do a hospitality run with cooking stuff. Please, please guys, I want to do it so bad. There are 2 sushis for each grade of meal. One uses a bit of more fish than rice, and the other more rice than fish. So check to see what works better for you, Dave the Diver and Rimworld guys. But you can also keep deep frying the sushi. Yeah, sushi is one of the healthiest foods on the Rim. And of course you can deep fry it, or make gourmet sushi, and use chocolate syrup on it. Oh god, actually felt a little sick thinking about it. Yeah, creativity. Oh, you can make surumi out of human flesh. Oh yeah, meaning cannibal pawns can enjoy sushi, but is their own depraved way. Yeah, there are of course 2 more new plants to grow and enjoy. Wasabi, which takes a growth penalty if not grown at least amongst 20 tiles in the 6 tile radius, and the soybeans that are temperature sensitive. Naturally, wasabi can be made into a paste that give a +5 breathing and conscious buff, a -10 comfortable temperature, and -1 mood debuff for 24 hours when eaten. And soybeans put into the new fermenter to make soy sauce, which for 24 hours gives a +5 mood buff and a 5% blood filtration and pumping boost. Also, before you ask, no, you can't make tofu with this mod. You can, however, make tofu with this mod, but that's not an official VE mod, so that's all we can say. Now, obviously you can't just have good food without good drinks. Good for helping mental states and maybe for a new source of income. Oh yes, yes, wink wink. First up, whiskey made of corn and flour. You cask them up in complete darkness and get a drink that boosts global labor speed temporarily. However, if you put the whiskey back in for another round of aging, you get double aged whiskey, upping the trade price and making the labor speed go from 15% to 20%. Tequila needs agave fruit with some insect meat for a drink that actually has some nutritional value, but also makes pawns super drunk. Yet somehow improves accuracy. Don't ask me how it works, it just does. It works. Vodka is cheap. Booze made of potatoes. Very fast to make, so makes for a good product to sell. It also boosts melee accuracy as the pawn gets drunker. Perfect use of the bottles they will be joining. Yeah. Gin is a berry drink that boosts social impact temporarily and also is more joyful than other boozes. Cider is a great cheap way for cash. First off, you just need a lot of fruit. Then you turn it all into unfermented cider. Then you put the cider into a warm place and wait. It will turn into fermented cider. Pawns can enjoy and enjoy responsibility too. It never causes alcohol addiction and also never moves a pawn past warmed, making it a good way to keep spirits up without hitting the hard spirits. Yeah. With all the alcohols, you also have the ability to make cocktails that can have stronger effects than normal alcohol on their own. Seriously, look at the perk list for using certain bruises. And this is all on top of a 5% flat chance to cause an inspiration. Oh, and do be careful of the lavish cocktail that will knock a pawn down like a haymaker. Juice can also be made out of fruit to act as an ingredient for brewing or mixing drinks. It's also a way to stack up different fruit types into one mono-stackable thing. Soda can also be made using juice or maybe some corn and sugar. A nice sweet caffeinated drink that gives a 5% manipulation buff and a small bit of joy. Then there is the energy drink made of literal uranium. Adds a 6% toxic buildup and then reduces rest by 20% and gives a movement speed bonus of 25. Then 5 hours later it reverses since energy drinks crash ya. Yeah, don't recommend unless you need all hands on deck for something important. Coffee and tea is now a plantable and harvestable thing. The beans and leaves used to make the morning drink of choice for many out on the rim and in the real world. Tea reduces rest fall rates on top of buff immunity gain, and all without being addictive. Coffee, meanwhile, comes in hot and cold variety depending on if they are stored in a freezer or outside of one. Both boost learning rates and are slightly addictive. Hot coffees reduce hypothermia, while ice reduces heat stroke, so useful things to keep on standby. Then there is tobacco, cause hey, why not include some smokables with your morning coffee? Used to make cigarettes and cigars, tobacco is a pretty fast-growing plant for a decent rate of product. Both increases concentration and reduces hunger rates, but both have a chance for addiction. Cigarettes more likely, with cigars less likely. Finally, if you want some drugs in your meals, try the new condiments that are made from the original drugs that are effect that's weaker but not addictive. Coming in goji, wake up, and luciferium, good for moods and that bit of pep in their system. Next, there is the coffee and tea expansion, giving a huge variety of different coffees and teas for your pawns to enjoy, and each giving a different buff. First, the new growables, the mint plant, which acts as a condiment that boosts social impact on top of making pawns a bit happy. It also can be planted in plant pots, though seeds need sunlight to grow. Then the lemon tree, that occasionally sheds a small number of lemons on their own if they reach 70% growth rate. So what teas and coffees do you get? Well, keep in mind they all keep the base effect of teas and coffees always have a risk for addiction. So the new drinks and what they do are lattes, a combo of coffee and milk, which is a slightly stronger effect. Mochas, which is coffee and chocolate, adds more joy when drunk. Irish coffee, a combo of coffee and whiskey, giving a stronger effect on both. Pumpkin spice, actually just base coffee, but it's unique by being found only on traders and usually at half the price of normal coffee. Espresso Romano, coffee and lemons, which can treat gut worms. Mint coffee, obviously mint and coffee, which boosts social impact by 10%. Dalgona coffee, which is coffee and sugar, is more addictive but has a stronger effect and boosts research speed by 10%. And cannibal coffee rounds out the black brews, being a coffee with bits of human meat in it. Satisfies human meat cravings. Oh yeah. On to the teas. Black tea is tea and milk, giving a stronger boost than base. Green tea combining tea and sugar, adding more base joy to drinking it. Lemon tea, this helps treat gut worms, also very tasty IRL. Mint tea is like the coffee, boosts social impact by 10%. Wang Wanging is the combo of both tea and coffee and gives both their buffs on top of a +5 mood buff. Also, it's more addictive than normal coffee. Earl Grey is oranges and tea in one, and for the refined scholar adds 10% more research speed. Kombucha is tea and mushrooms, and while that sounds weird, it does reduce flu severity by 5%. So it's pretty useful. Noon Chai uses tea and salt and treats muscle parasites. Makes sense? Maybe. I don't know. Finally, masala chai. Tea being allspice and tea reducing the severity of a random infection by 5%. This actually could save a life, not gonna lie. Very important. So yeah, that was all the teas and coffees and foods. Man, my pawns sure don't have any reason to complain. If they are gonna be eating like kings, okay, sure. It might be hard work to make all that, but come on. Hard work makes food tastier at the end of the day. What's this? Well. Guess we have one more to talk about. Yes, of course. VE plants and mushrooms. One last set of plants literally released as we worked on this video script. The VE plants expanded mushrooms, naturally adding some mushrooms to grow and give you more variety of growables, especially on the new mushroom grow zone. Now on stony and rough stone, you can grow any of these funguses for your colony, and unless told otherwise, they need to be in darkness to properly grow. Keep that in mind. First up, the timber cap, a small 8-day grower that provides 2 wood each. Obviously a way to quickly get bits of wood in a short amount of time underground. It also doesn't die if exposed to direct sunlight. Stinkers are a nasty fast-growing shroom that provides a small amount of fungus. It also provides a source of rot stink. Why would you want that? Well, the heel truffle takes 4 days to grow and provides 1 herbal medicine. The catch being, if there is no rot stink on the tile it grows on, the growth is reduced to 5%. Very important to know. So you want to plant some stinkers near heel truffles to help each other out. Luckily, heel truffles don't die of light, but if you have light, you might as well grow heel root. Bliss caps are magic mushrooms that give a pawn more mood and psychic sensitivity, but it also reduces consciousness and movement. You can also use it in meals. They also can grow outside and in sunlight. Lola blooms are a great pot plant since it can stay in light and when planted adjacent to a bed provides a small comfort bonus and negates a sleep-interrupted mood debuff, perfect for underground barracks. Bileseps are a unique fungus in how it acts as meat. Sub the catch, you need corpse bile to grow them. Otherwise, they grow at 5%. Still, it is one way to use rotten bodies and turn them into, meat. Glow caps are a pot-only fungus that provides a small source of light. Need for added ambience, obviously doesn't die in light. Red caps are a species of goblin that usually are more power. Wrong notes. Red caps are rose alternatives pot plant to provide beauty in a lightless environment. They die in the light, so keep that in mind. Zap caps are a new source of power. No, seriously. Each one can provide between 1 and 10 power if connected to conduits. They catch, obviously, they need to be replanted, and they also create stronger zap events, so do be careful with these shrooms, oh yes. They also won't die if exposed to light. Thermoregulus are a species of shroom that works to reduce or increase a room's temperature to 16 C or 60 degrees Fahrenheit. Great when you have limited power or playing without power to begin with. Won't die when exposed to sunlight, beginning to think there are more shrooms here who can take the light than ones that can't. Foam puffers are an ugly shroom that act as fire foam poppers when fully grown. I can think of a certain polar bear loving rim tuber who might find use for these. Won't die in light but will go out when set on fire, but not without taking the flames with it. Mycothread is a shroom that produces, mycothread. When fully grown, either used as a food material or taken to a crafting spot to convert into cloth, now you have a way to get cloth even in the lightless underground. Finally, the tox puff, a fungus that only grows on polluted terrain. When pawns step over it, it will let out tox gas, only really good if you are playing with wasters or anyone who likes pollution. Still, you got options, and more options is more nice with this add-on. I didn't ask for it, but man, I'm glad we got them. Now underground playthroughs will have more variety and survivability in the underground. But in all seriousness, I am glad we have all these food and plan options, more playthrough ideas for role-playing, or just having a different strategy. It is all good, and I can't wait to see more in the future from the team. But with that all said, we couldn't have done this video without our Patrons. I want to thank every last one of you that support us. We wouldn't be here without you. I'll see you guys in the next video.